Think it's time for Plan B?
From the global headquarters and the strategic compound of the Soldiers of Fortune, powered by 700,000 watts of wisdom, fused with the next level intelligence, set all systems on DEFCON 1. This is the Vince Wild Program.
I got it. Love it.
Thank you, Bob Taylor. Welcome to the Vince Wild Show. It is a fantastic day. No, I mean it. Actually, I'm really excited because there's some big things going on with the show, bigger than has ever happened in the history of the show. And I can't disclose them yet, but you will know very soon what they are. You're just going to have to keep an eye on the Twitter feed specifically because the website may be changing, the logo may be changing, big changes. And they're for the better. So those of you that have been loyal from the beginning, thank you, because we've been noticed. A couple of things. We got guests coming. We still plan on having Paul Rohrer, former drummer from Grammatrain, on the show. He is yet to confirm. And also coming up on a future show, Scarlet Fade from Georgia, originally from Connecticut. They're a rock band, somewhat between pop alternative and just alternative. Great band, and they're working on a new album. I hear rumors that Jordan, the guitarist, is working on solo material, although she hasn't specified what exactly she plans on doing with the solo material. But they've hooked up with Cale Kite from Love Like Gravity down there in Georgia. And he's very talented and a great producer and so forth. And so kudos. What's interesting about that relationship is I know both Cale and Scarlet Fade separately. And at the time I met both, Scarlet Fade, they were still in Connecticut. And Cale was where he was. And then they just happened to hook up. And it's like the 6 degrees of separation thing will continuously blow your mind. It's unreal how people that you know somehow get connected. I'm constantly being reminded of that, on Facebook, and it's just mind-blowing. So they'll be on the show as well, and I can't wait to talk to them. It's been too long, and just a great band, talented, and they've had some music produced by some pretty important people in music. Just that elusive record deal. Even an independent deal. I'm not saying like Atlantic should be calling. In fact, I'd probably advise them against Atlantic because they'd have to trade their entire identity to the record label. And you know that I'm not for that. So, but somebody, I'm not sure Nuclear Blast is the right label, but there's a number of bands, labels out there that this band fits in very well. And I'd really like to see them do phenomenally. All right, well, get to the good stuff. Let's start with some interesting things from the entertainment world. Everybody remembers the Goonies. At least most people. All right, admittedly, there's a whole 2 generations of people that may not have any clue what the Goonies is. No, I'm not going to do more than 2. Not 2. I don't want to say 3 generations. I haven't been around that long. The Goonies was a movie by Steven Spielberg. It was a classic swashbuckling adventure with kids going through dark, creepy caves trying to find pirate treasure to save their house. It's a great movie. One of my top movies from growing up. I used to watch that until I wore a hole in the VHS cassette tape. For the younger members of the audience, you might want to look up what VHS is. Stop. But the house was an actual house, not a set. And the Goonies house is closing down because too many people are doing the truffle shuffle in the front yard. Again, if you don't know this movie and you have no idea what I'm talking about, please go watch the movie on Netflix or whatever, because Otherwise, you won't understand why the truffle shuffle thing is important in the story. If you've ever seen the iconic house used in cult classic The Goonies, now is the time to count your lucky stars. The home is now closed off to visitors. That's right, you are no longer welcome to traverse its glorious Organian yards, belting out hysterics at your besties and shaking your body in exchange for entry. As a matter of fact, it's this body-shaking trend, also known as the truffle shuffle, that caused the owner of the home to shut it down. Apparently, many strangers are entering her yard to shuffle. Visitors have one too many errant cigarette butts and beer bottles on her property, and the woman is fed up. That's left. I suck. According to The Independent, even decades after the film was made, the home was attracting 1,500 people a day. The fact that she was ever cool with this was sanity. The fact that she was ever cool with this was saintly in and of itself, but we digress. We also won't give her too much credit because this unceremonious proclamation not only means the end of an era, but many an incomplete bucket list. Really, I'm not at an age where I need to be making a bucket list. That was from Zimbio. I mean, I'm not old enough for a bucket list. That implies, because this is a movie from my youth, that I should be making my bucket list already. Newsflash, not old enough for a bucket list. I just want to point that out. Not even in the same zip code as a bucket list. But thanks for the reminder that one day I will die. Appreciated. I don't think I'd be cool with people polluting my front yard. Forget that. I don't think I'd want 1,500 visitors a day just because my home was in a movie. You know? I mean, the Brady Bunch house has the same problem. It's actually on a tour, and the new owners built a wall so that they weren't bothered by the tour bus stopping by to show people the Brady Bunch house. So now all people see is a wall. And, you know, people get all upset, but and honestly, yeah, why are you buying a house that was in a movie if you don't want the attention? But I just thought it was such a nice house. I remember seeing it in the movie and thought that would be such a nice... Wake up. If you're going to buy a place that's famous like that, people are going to stop by. It's just people. You know, sometimes I don't understand what's going on in people's brains. I just know that it's not anything in the realm of common sense. Seriously, if you haven't seen The Goonies, and I can't imagine, there was a time where, you know, when I was a teenager, and you said, oh, have you seen The Goonies? Everybody's seen The Goonies. Of course they had. You all grew up together. If you hadn't seen The Goonies, your parents were probably against movies. It was a great movie. And it was one of those movies that they edited for TV play and played on TV a lot, too. So it was always on. You could watch The Goonies. The DVD's at Walmart. You could go down right now and pick it up for $10. It's a great movie. And yeah, you know, it's a shame, but I don't know. I feel two ways about it, I guess. On one hand, I wouldn't want people bothering me, but on the other hand, I'd be pretty stupid to buy a house that was in a movie that was an actual house and not just a movie set. All right. Brace yourself, folks. Pumpkin everything is coming. I know nobody wants to think about autumn, right? And it seems like commercials want to kickstart autumn exactly September 1st, even though we have technically 21 days before autumn hits. And so we're going to have pumpkin-flavored everything. Coffee, of course. Ice cream comes out from some of the companies. Although when the weather gets cold, are you really thinking of, oh, gee, I want ice cream? There are some people, oh, I want ice cream. And those people may be insane. But Starbucks wants you to know that they will be using real pumpkin in their coffees. As if Starbucks wasn't expensive enough. Have you noticed how many locations are next to banks? Yeah, that's by design, so you can get a loan to go get a cup of coffee. And I like Starbucks. I'm rather caffeine intolerant, but the one time a year that I will allow myself the wicked indulgence of fancy coffee that's really meant for people in an income bracket that is way higher than mine is Christmas because of the eggnog latte, which last year Starbucks announced, we're not doing the eggnog latte this year. I don't know why they sound like that truck driver from Boston, but they do. And then, of course, the people protested because that's like one of the favorite drinks for the holiday season. And Starbucks immediately announced, hey, yeah, we're going to bring back the eggnog latte. I think it was canceled for a whole 2 weeks. And honestly, they lost the only business they get from me by doing that. But Real Pumpkin, I don't know how they're going to do this because I don't understand the chemistry and I don't even want to know what it was before. This year they're using Real Pumpkin. What was it last year? Trout? Extract of clam? You ever read the ingredients on some of these things? It's scary. I mean, when you read ingredients and some of the crap you bring home, what exactly is guar gum? And that's the stuff you bring home. That's consumer, everyday, make it in your kitchen products. This is Starbucks. I mean, you're paying $5 for a large coffee, which you could make at home for 32 cents. So, you have to know that the ingredients would be a little bit better. But what is the big announcement if this year they're using Real Pumpkin? As a friend of mine once said, Real Pumpkin what? Extract of snail. It's all natural. Sure. Yeah, extract of snail. Delicious. Could I get a large pumpkin spice, venti pumpkin spice latte with a little extra extract of snail? Seriously, my wife is one of those people that really looks forward to the pumpkin stuff. She loves pumpkin. And I'm not against pumpkin. I'm just chuckling because now they're using natural pumpkin. And that always takes me off guard when a company now with natural ingredients. Well, what were you using before? Oh, sawdust off the floor, whatever we could find. Like when you go to Walmart and they've got like 3 grades of hamburgers and one of them's like $30 for 16 and you're like, wow, that must be one hell of a cow. And then there's another brand that there's 30 burgers in there and it's only $7.99. And then you start reading the ingredients and you don't recognize some of the words as being English. And you're like, okay, what exactly are the hamburgers made from? And I think that's probably where the rumor that hamburgers are made with sawdust, because there's filler. And probably somebody said, well, sawdust could be used as filler. And then that rumor starts, just like the pink slime, which, of course, not true. But congratulations on the all-natural ingredients to Starbucks. Okay. I read some of this stuff and I ask myself what exactly is wrong with everybody. I think the whole planet has gone mad. I mean, when I read you this headline, you'll think I made it up. And I didn't. It came across my news feed just moments ago. And I picked it up and I said, all right, well, let's have a look. And pediatric group, send kids with lice to school. I mean, that sounds like a headline from The Onion. Seriously. That like flies in the face of conventional wisdom. I wish I was making this stuff up. Honest to God. This is what the article says. It's from theindychannel.com. Don't let lice bug you. That's the advice coming from the American Pediatric Association. Okay, stop right there. You would think that advice coming from the American Pediatric frickin' Association would make sense. What the heck is this? Population control? Holy S. The group says since there are no serious health problems involved with lice infestation, parents should go ahead and send their kids to school. Okay, how about how hard it is to get rid of lice when you have them. Forget whether or not they spread disease, which I'll bet they can't be completely certain about that. Forget that how do you get rid of them? I mean, seriously, if growing up you've ever had to deal with lice as a kid, you know that there's a whole process. And back in the old days, people were pouring kerosene on your head to get rid of them. But now they have medicines and shampoos, and some of the chemicals in some of the shampoos can potentially cause seizures. And then, one kid comes to school, so 20 kids get infected, and then there's just a friggin' epidemic of lice at everybody's house. No, thank you. Could we have an ounce of common sense from the American pediatric wahoos? And, of course, the replies to this story on the comment threads over on Facebook are, no thanks, and if your kid does it, I'll be very unhappy. People questioning the advice, wondering if it's a joke. I mean, and then a reputable news agency actually posts it. Why would you put this on the news? Why would you broadcast this kind of a headline? Would you, some of these newscasters must have kids. Would you want your kid coming home with head lice? Because, 15 kids, their parents watch the news and say, hey, that's not a bad idea, and send their kids to school. And so now, instead of 15 kids, 30 kids have, and then 30 kids, and then 60, and so forth and so on, and then your kid gets it, and then everybody's kid gets it, and it's just like one of the judgments from the Bible. Every kid has head lice. Seriously? Stop the world. Stop the world. I want to get off.
Patterns of our society are being disrupted.
Raising to a new level.
It's Wild Show.
Dad! Come on! Over here! Look at this, Dad! Over... Whoa.
The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
you can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, biking, fishing, or camping. Or do your own thing when you get there with family and friends. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
an erratic, violent man.
The Vince Wild Show.
Well, we have all kinds of new developments in the e-vape world, e-cig world, however you know your term. The electronic cigarette, which isn't really a fair name because it's totally different. The only similarity to real smoking is the fact that e-cigs have nicotine. That's about it. But it doesn't stop Philip Morris from paying for studies that have completely skewed results that have absolutely no basis in reality. FDA should regulate e-cigs. E-cigs. JMA study shows youth cigarette use leads to combustible tobacco use. Not true. From the Daily Caller. That was being spread around on Twitter, by the way. From the Daily Caller. New study busts myth of e-cigarettes as gateway to teen smoking. Oops. And this just posted this week. There is no link between the surge in teens taking up e-cigarettes and then transferring to regular tobacco, according to the anti-smoking group Action on Smoking and Health. So this was an anti-smoking group's own study. And it completely flies in the face of the similar study by the JMA. Isn't that interesting? That's because Philip Morris is paying for those studies. They want to have the market cornered on tobacco products. And all these new companies are coming out now with their own tobacco products. Except they're e-cigs. It opened the market wide open, and nobody likes competition. Published in the journal Public Health and conducted with polling company YouGov, the research showed teens are experimenting more with e-cigarettes. In 2013, 4% of UK 11 to 18-year-olds said they had tried e-cigarettes once or twice, with that figure rising to 10% in 2015. The number of regular e-cigarette users, defined as those vaping at least once a month, was tiny at just 2.4%. According to ASH, almost all of those reporting regular use were young people who had been or were currently smokers. Increasing awareness of e-cigarettes was the most likely factor contributing to the uptick, the paper argues. In 2013, almost a third of young people were unaware of e-cigarettes compared to just 7% in 2015. The most recent UK statistics on smoking for 11 to 15-year-olds is at an all-time low of 3%. This indicates that an increase in awareness and use of electronic cigarettes is not coinciding with any increase in teen smokers, ASH said in a press release. There's a huge movement in this country to completely criminalize e-cigarettes, and it's been happening not over the period of years. It's not getting hung up in state legislation for months and months and months. It's being passed at a record-breaking pace. And the reason is it is being lobbied for by Big Tobacco. Not just, Philip Morris, but all of them. Because they also have electronic cigarettes. And often you will find that these regulations that apply to e-vaping do not cross-apply to e-cigarettes, which look more like a typical cigarette, sold by the big tobacco companies. Oh, but it gets even better. Oh, yes. Because new study claims e-cigarette vapor no more dangerous than air. And another argument they're trying to say is that people will die from secondhand e-vape, which is completely ridiculous because it's basically evaporated water. And people are passing this around on the internet in comment threads about e-vaping indoors, and the public is so uninformed, it's unbelievable. Oh no, scary new technology on the block, let's run from it. But I bet if you could start e-vaping with an iPhone, that would be cool. It's all on how you implement the technology. Inhaling vapor from e-cigarettes is as safe as breathing air, according to a new paper that compared 2 e-cigarettes with regular cigarettes and air. Research published in Toxology in Vitro used a combination of tests to find out whether e-cigarette vapor is harmful to people's airways. To model the possible harmful effect of e-cigarette vapor, which contains, among other things, nicotine and flavorings, British American Tobacco partnered with tissue engineering firm MatTech to use a smoking robot with respiratory tissue. After 6 hours of exposure to tobacco smoke, cells died off, but after an aggressive and continuous dose of vapor, the effect on airway tissue was similar to that of air. Now, the study's being pushed out by American organizations trying to ban e-cigarettes and e-vaping and so forth it's like their foundation is on sand. They run their mouths a lot, but no. It's mostly about creating public hysteria about something that there doesn't need to be public hysteria. Hey, you see that guy e-vaping? You could get cancer. Now, if people had spent more time paying attention and less time passing notes during chemistry class, they would know that propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin do not have cancer elements to them. The whole reason behind the invention of the e-cigarette and e-vaping was so those poor people that had been smoking products that were causing cancer could come back indoors with the rest of us. Because, I mean, these things smell like things like cherry blossoms and cinnamon and banana bread. I mean, it's just not offensive. And there's no reason that the public should care except they were told to care. Once again, TV and radio and media in general are dragging the public around on a leash. And they're just following. Nobody does anything on their own. Just watch the idiot on the idiot box. That'll tell me everything I need to know. Well, guess what? I think it should be proof positive by current events and the state of the world we live in right now that isn't working. For crying out loud, you're being led around on a leash by Big Tobacco, who are trying to tell you, through studies they fund, trust us, e-vaping is bad for you. You're not inhaling carbon monoxide. There's no more smoke, for crying out loud. But for some reason, they're against it. You think they would embrace the new technology because it's removed the carcinogens from the playbook. But no, they're fighting it. And these bozos, in the different government bodies that just blindly do the bidding of these large companies show that no matter what they promise on the campaign trail, when it comes down to business, it's all about the dollar. Don't believe me? Why is aspartame still on the market? Yeah. Don't get me started on aspartame. That is a whole discussion that will take us straight down the rabbit hole. And I'm kind of done with the rabbit hole. I've told everybody everything I could dig up on aspartame. Who invented it, how it's produced, what it does to the body. And people are still buying Diet Coke like it grows on trees. It's unbelievable. There's sodas out there that do not use aspartame. For crying out loud, saccharin is safer than aspartame. People are still buying things with the NutraSweet logo. I don't understand it. But it shows you that even when you provide solid evidence that people can go research themselves, because you gave them all the tools. You said, hey, A plus B, and here's my sources, and I posted them right here. Just go click the link. They won't do it. Because they've already set up in their mind what they want to believe. And now you're telling them something different, and they have to change their whole thought process, so screw it. I'm not going there. No, aspartame is good. It's been with us for 30 or 40 years. I'm happy about aspartame. La, 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 la. I can't invest any more time in people like that. I just can't. Try to tell people, hey, e-vaping is a step in the right direction. And, people are like, oh, yeah, but what about nicotine? All right. As I said before, you have a hang-up on nicotine. Stop drinking coffee. Because you can't make the argument about nicotine and not make it about caffeine. People are probably, more of the population is hooked on caffeine than nicotine at this point in time. And if there isn't coffee, people lose their crap. They have to have their coffee. Oh, did anybody make coffee? Hey, how come the coffee maker's broken at the office? Somebody somebody call a repairman. I'll go down to the store. I'll buy a new coffee maker. And those people are the first ones to point out, you shouldn't be smoking. Nicotine is bad. Even if you're not smoking and you're vaping, there's still nicotine, and that's bad news. Come on. Well, the only thing consistent about these arguments are their inconsistency. And I think I'm all set.
New York, London,
Philadelphia,
Japan,
Chicago,
Paris,
San Francisco, Tijuana,
Los Angeles, California.
The Vince Wild Show.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas. 1 in 300 million. The odds of a daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland, spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts. 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards? 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records? 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The future of America is The Vince Wild Show.
Goth Minister off the CD Gothic Electronic Anthems. The track is Angel. The show is The Vince Wild Show. You can follow twitter.com/Vince Wild Show or at Vince Wild Show, however you prefer. Pick your poison. You can also go to vincewild.com, and that is the website. Takes you to the wild side, which is where we post just about everything you hear on the show, save maybe a few stupid details that we feel doesn't deserve any more airtime than we already gave it. And, of course, you can always email us at vincewildshow@gmail.com. Yeah. So, tonight, NBC Food Fighters with Adam Richman. It was tonight, which would make it Thursday night. And if you missed it, you missed a great show, although a little bit disappointing, and not because nothing that Adam did. Adam does a phenomenal job. He's a great host, and it's good to have this show in its second season. It's good to see Adam out there doing what he does best, which is talk about food and host a food show. So, congrats, Adam, on Season 2 of NBC Food Fighters. We're still trying to get Travel Channel to pick up Man Finds Food Season 2. I don't know where we're at with that as of this. I can ask, because I have a direct line to Adam Richman. But the last I heard, we were petitioning the Travel Channel, which you could still do. You know, never hurts to send them extra mail and tell them, hey, you know, how about Adam Richman? We love the guy. How about Season 2? How would that be? And then they can make it happen. But this was phenomenal because this is the first time that they had a kid on. 12 years old. A 6th grader. And her name is Danielle, and she's trying to raise money for her mother's charity. It's a cancer charity, and if you DVR'd it, I'm not going to ruin it. Go watch it, but I'll say this: for a 12-year-old to take on some of the greatest cooks in culinary arts takes a spine that I don't even have at 39. Could not do it. I love to cook. You know, it's no big secret on this show that I'm an experimental cook. I wouldn't want Chef Ramsay in my kitchen because he'd probably beat my brains in with a frying pan. But I like to cook. I'm probably one of the better cooks people know in most cases, except one or two that I wouldn't even want to be in the same room cooking with these people. They're that much better, but I like to cook. I understand flavors. I understand blending flavors. I was nowhere in this girl's league. I mean, she was far and above, way more talented than me. And I cook bar food. I mean, let's be honest. I cook bar food, diner food. That's what I do. I like comfort food because that's what I think people need when they've had a bad day at work. You know, are they going to go to the 5-star restaurant after a bad day at work, or are they going to stop at the place that serves the bar food and just pig out? I'm a pig out cook. Probably not the best cook for your health, but that's what I do. It's not my profession. I could hold my own in a kitchen. It probably wouldn't be one of Chef Ramsay's, but I can do the job. But I just had to say hats off to this girl, 12 years old, and she got respect from every single chef. These chefs show up. And they're going up against people that cook at home, people like me. And they always trash talk. You know, oh, what are you doing here? You cook at home. I've been doing this for 20 years. And then some of them get their ass handed to them. And it's great because it shows that heart can sometimes trump culinary education. I mean, there's some grannies out there that will cook some of those professionals into a corner. And that's great because, you know what? Granny has had 60 years of practice. So you're 20 years, yeah, you know, you've been at a professional restaurant, 5-star cuisine, whatnot, but she's been cooking for 60 years. She's had time to experiment with everything. She knows what works, what doesn't, and that's great. And, you know, a lot of these competitors that come on NBC Food Fighters, they're, you know, cooking 15 years, only in their kitchen, but they're good. And so to see a 12-year-old girl, you know, I put that in perspective, a 6th grader, go on there and hold her own against some of the top chefs in the industry is phenomenal. So I recommend if you DVR'd it, go ahead and watch it. It's a great showing and a great ending. Maybe I'll talk about it more next week, but it just aired tonight, so if anybody DVR'd it, I don't really want to give away anything because people love the element of surprise. And that's great. So, good job, Chef Danielle. You can follow her on Twitter, Chef Danielle MC. And she's on Twitter and just great personality, very confident. She never even broke a sweat. That's the thing that really gets me. 12 years old, up against some of the top chefs on the planet. And she didn't even break a sweat. And I mean that legitimately. I'm not just saying she looked cool as a cucumber. I mean, she just okay, cool. I'm going up against the Ace of Cakes. Yeah, the Ace of Cakes. No, thank you. You know, I would love to see Gordon Ramsay on that show. We're talking about Gordon frickin' Ramsay. I'm surprised. I'd love to see him on. I have a lot of respect for Gordon Ramsay. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of the guy. I think he's got a bigger heart than people give him credit for, and I think he'd be down for something like this. But then again, I don't know him personally. I think that might be a missing piece of the puzzle. All right. Well, this story broke this week, and I'm not sure where to stand on this because it's one of those things that it comes out in the news, and you're just like, I don't know if this is karma or this is bad news or what it is, but hackers claim to have leaked Ashley Madison data trove online. See, this is the thing. This website built its reputation on being a discreet place to have an affair. I don't care who you are. This doesn't help anybody. Marriage is already in a state of disaster in America. I mean, people can't make a marriage work no matter how it unfolds, whether it's same sex, opposite sex, maybe one of those people that marries 6 women. By the way, marrying 6 women, what are you, nuts? Yeah. I mean, insert joke here, but I think we all know that sometimes people get in over their head with one woman, then put 6 of them in a room and they start conspiring against you if they're all that kind of personality, and holy crap. Cancel Christmas. So now we have a website where we can go to have a discreet affair with other people that want to have a discreet affair. I mean, a website that just puts the bait out there so that you can ruin your marriage. And that's the other thing. When it comes to women, women talk. Sooner or later, they talk. I learned this a long time ago, watching some of my friends in their relationships just get destroyed, because a lot of times the woman wants the significant other to find out, because it's almost like an act of revenge. And so they're not going to... I mean, guy will try to keep his mouth shut as long as he can, but a woman? Different chemistry, folks. So you basically have a website designed at affairs. Cheating spouses beware. This is from the Washington Post. Hackers claim to have released data stolen last month during a breach at Ashley Madison, a dating site for people looking for affairs. a roughly 10 gigabyte file that purported to contain several points of personal data, including emails, member profiles, credit card transactions, and other sensitive information about Ashley Madison's millions of users, became available Tuesday, according to numerous media reports. You know, on one side of the coin, I don't feel sorry for these people because I just can't respect somebody that has an affair. It's not in my ability to say, oh, gee whiz. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? You know, even if you're in only a monogamous relationship, you've committed to that person, and if you want out of it, break it off. But this is just the lowest form of scum and villainy. I'm assuming they're aimed at married couples, so I'm going to assume that everybody has made a commitment on the altar before God and everyone, or a justice of the peace. And now, apparently, the marriage isn't going the way they want, so they go to a website that allows them to have an affair. So the fact that their information was leaked online is kind of like, it's karma. Like, oh, you didn't know that was going to happen. Doesn't that suck for you? On the flip side of the coin, these are hackers, and this is a demonstration that data on the internet is not safe. You cannot hide from hackers. And they're on nobody's side but their own. You've got, for a brief time, Anonymous looked like heroes. Anonymous has no love for Al-Qaeda or ISIS. So, I mean, they could be a useful ally, but we're talking about two organizations. Their whole attack plan takes place on the back of a Toyota pickup from 1991 when they roll into a village. So it's not like they're high tech to begin with. On the other side of the coin, they've also targeted North Korea. And I guess a lot of people feel like that was our government that did that, and whatever, I'm not going to get into all that. But I don't trust hackers, period. I don't have anything to lose out there. I mean, I'm no CEO of any company. I'm not a politician. I'm not any of these things. And thank God, because it's unnecessary attention, but... Man, if you're holding public office, I would suggest get a typewriter and do filing like they did in the 40s. Because we are coming into a time where everybody's depending on technology. Oh, my word. To technology, I want everything online. Let's store everything in the cloud. Let me tell you, I have external hard drives for everything. I don't trust the cloud. Everybody's just so ready to jump on the latest technology bandwagon. They don't even think about the possible consequences of making that decision. Like, I could store my stuff on the cloud, and if my computer crashes, I can pull it down from the cloud. Unless the cloud gets hacked and shut down. Oh, well, that won't happen. And that's the problem. You know, everybody thinks everything won't happen. You know, nothing bad is going to happen in America. Terrorists aren't ever going to attack. My data is never going to get compromised. Blah, 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 until it does, and then you don't know what to do. I'm telling you, typewriter and filing cabinet. Can't go wrong unless there's a fire. But you've got better chances these days not getting hit by a fire than getting hacked. It seems like everybody's getting hacked. They even have to come out with wallets now to protect your credit card because they have an RFID chip on the credit card that somebody can steal the numbers and all your information off the credit card with a device they carry in their pocket. But no, really, I want the latest technology. Brilliant. Sign me up for that. All right, the website, VinceWild.com, Twitter.com/VinceWildShow, VinceWildShow@gmail.com. We got big news coming soon. Stick around, hold on, because it's the biggest thing to happen to this show since the 10 years of its inception. And trust me, you won't want to miss this news. That is the show for today. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Later.